Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of JoyPad podcast. Did it! Happy Thump Day to all. It's one of your hosts. I was going to go somewhere with that and then lost the thought. Megan, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Pinto, Fleming, and Tom. It is Thump Day. Hopefully, by the time you're hearing this, Cyberpunk has not been pushed back again, and it's out, and I'm playing it, and I'm happy, and I didn't have to wait, another 10 years for that to be released. But I don't want to talk about that because I haven't played it yet, and I'm going to throw it to Tom. How are you doing? What are you drinking? What are you playing?
I am doing just fine. I am drinking a nice little Guinness draft right here. Probably my favorite go-to beer. Simple and delicious. I've actually been playing a lot of Pokemon Sword.
Ooh.
I do now say Pokemon like an old man, unlike the hip young child I once was.
A Pokemon.
The Pokemon with the Pokey and the Mon. Got the DLCs for it a couple weeks ago, and just recently started playing more of it. My wife had been playing a lot of it, and I got to the part where there is a legendary Pokemon dungeon raid thing in one point. And it's just super fun to get like all of the legendary Pokemon from all of the games in one game. And I haven't beaten the game yet, so I'm just putting together a party of legendary Pokemon to wipe the floor with everyone that's left in the game. And we've actually tried in our household to get a PS5 about 2 or 3 more times since the last time we recorded this podcast, and not succeeded because robots are fast. Given that consideration, and given the enjoyment of the Pokemon situation, we actually bought a second Nintendo Switch.
Oh, nice.
So we've actually been, just yesterday it arrived, and we played at least one situation of that game together, and it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
So I look forward to doing more of that.
In another game that you should consider doing, you could play Stardew Valley together on the Switch.
Ooh.
So I know that's a very passionate game on this podcast, so I just thought I'd share.
Yes, no, it's actually something I was already considering, since I know you've talked about trying to play that game with your wife before, but having only one Switch, it is not possible to do split screen. 2 Switches, anything's possible. Well, playing the same game on 2 different Switches together in the same room is possible, at least.
Does Nintendo make you pay for like the multiplayer feature? I feel like some people were.
Yes, but there is a family account feature on it.
Oh.
Which is very nice. I think it's just an additional like $10 a year, and
Okay.
it covers the entirety of the household.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
it's Nintendo's is so cheap compared to Xbox's or Sony's. I think it's just $35 for the year for the household.
Oh, okay.
And I want to say 25 for the year if it's just a single account.
Gotcha.
So it's very reasonable.
That is
by comparison.
Yeah, what PlayStation Plus is 50 or 60, I think, for a year.
That sounds about right. Or you can go month to month at like $10 a month or something like that.
And I don't even know that Xbox or Microsoft, if they do like a full, you can get this Game Pass for a year, because it's like the Game Pass, Xbox Live, and something else all combined into one now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They used to have something, but I don't know
Yeah.
now. We've only done that game together, but we have an interesting setup with 2 TVs in one room right now and 2 Switches hooked up. So, but it's been fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of that. I don't think there's anything else that I've really been playing, so I will throw it to Mr. Michael Fleming. What are you drinking, playing, and doing this fine, not Thump Day evening? But it shall be Thump Day once the listeners hear it.
Yes, listeners, I am drinking a Sam Adams Winter Lager because I still had some left, and that was the beer of choice, the easiest one to grab. And I have been playing essentially nothing but, and by that I mean I haven't been playing a lot, but I played a little bit of War Selection, but nothing else. So we've talked about that enough. Don't need to butcher it anymore. I'm very close to having the final country announced so far, so that's exciting. And they're supposed to come out with a new one in December, so probably right around when people will be hearing this for the first time.
China.
Yeah, China most likely.
Oh, God.
We're assuming it's China. So we're gonna have a lot of China #1 now, I'm assuming, but we'll see. Otherwise, how I'm doing. You know, like when you like go to the airport and you're like rushing around and like you're trying to get to your flight, and then your flight like is delayed, or whatever the case might be. You have to wait an hour before the flight, and you have that like that sense of stress that's like still trying to leave your body. That's where I am right this moment. So, ooh,
I feel
I'm
that.
gonna keep drinking my Sam Adams Winter Lager, non-sponsor, but
that.
please sponsor. Anyway, Mr. Michael Pinto, how are you doing? What are you drinking? And what else are you playing aside from War Selection?
I'm doing all right. This is probably my first Friday night off in about 2 months.
Woohoo!
If I had to put a timetable on it. I did not receive a call to go into work tonight. I think my boss put a kibosh on that, even if they got busy, because he's like, I gave him Friday night off. He is not coming in. So that's nice. I've enjoyed my day. I haven't done too much. I got my new television, so I was playing some Final Fantasy 15 earlier on my nice new 4K Ultra HD crystal whatever the heck television.
Ew.
It's pretty.
Baby Tears TV screen.
Yeah, pretty much. And that means that I'm prepared for when I move into the next generation of gaming, whenever that is. Probably like halfway through 2021 is when I will decide to get a PS5 if they're available by then.
That's the hope.
That's a big if.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a pressing matter for me. I still like to get a Switch before I get a PS5 probably. So we'll see how that goes. Beyond Final Fantasy 15, my other Black Friday purchase was the South Park bundle, where I bought the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole on Steam. I recently completed the Stick of Truth one more time, because it's been a couple years since I played it, and I figured I'd play it before I dive into the butthole. I haven't done that yet.
There it is.
Yep.
There it is.
And yeah, that's about it. Played a couple games of War Selection where, look, I know we've discussed the game a lot, but there's something I have to bring up about it that we've discussed. I feel like I get cheated in that game a lot. And I don't mean like other people are cheating. I mean like I play really well, I think. And then the end of the game comes up and I get a piddly amount of tech points when Tom and Fleming are dead and they get more tech points than I did. And I find that to be really unfair. That's all.
I swear to you, I figured it out that it's all about territory and just expanding your country's area. So try it out. We'll do it for science one of these coming games.
But what's weird is, Pinto, you always get those territory upgrades, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I get all of them by the end of the game. Generally speaking, I do. So
I don't think those help as much as
like
just building buildings further out. Yeah,
maybe I'm not sure, but yeah, I've always thought that, especially that game last night, I guess it was. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make any sense how you are getting 20, 30 tech points lower than us, but you were alive for at least 15 minutes longer than us, if not more than that. So, and you killed plenty of like very expensive units like Berthas and tanks. So,
yeah, the game's racist. That's all I can say.
Agreed.
And I'm drinking a Golden Road Brewing Pineapple Ale. Because I still have some from several months ago, and I was like, I better drink those before they get not good.
I kind of want some fruity beers now.
And that's about it for me. Yeah. Megan,
Me.
what are you drinking? How are you feeling? What have you been playing? Etc.
I am drinking some lovely lemon Snapple this evening. How am I feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. It's Friday, as we disclosed to our listeners. So we have the weekend. I did pick up some overtime this weekend, but I don't care. I don't really get it that often. And with the holiday coming, I want to be able to get those sweet, sweet gifts for my friends and family. As far as what I'm playing, I actually restarted Persona 5. I don't have Royal, just playing the original base edition on the PlayStation 4, and then still going through Demon Souls and a little bit of Among Us here and there with Pinto, some of our other friends. But that's about it for me. Don't want to, ramble on too much about what I'm playing. So we'll get to the topic at hand tonight, my friends. I think I told you guys a little bit about it, but this week what I would like to talk about is our favorite sidekicks, side characters, whether it be personalities or the skills and help that they provide you. Whatever it is, I want to know who you like, because we've talked about protagonists, antagonists, we've talked about the main characters. Let's talk about the sidekicks, because I don't think they get enough of a spotlight. I'm going to start off with one of my favorite sidekicks. I don't know if you would really, I guess, consider him a sidekick, more of a side character, but Kazooie from Banjo-Kazooie, because, you know, you're mostly going to play as the stupid anthropomorphic bear rather than the bird. But he was cool. He was small. He was tiny. He fit in your backpack. He could fire eggs at enemies and take them out. As well, when you got tired of walking around as Banjo, you could use Kazooie to walk you around.
He let you super jump.
He did. That game was so much fun.
I have such vague memories of Banjo-Kazooie,
Okay.
I'll be perfectly honest. But Kazooie's, I mean, I remember the design of the character, and I remember it's, you know, it was kind of the same thing when they got to a bunch of games in that era that kind of came afterwards. And I think they were all kind of templated after Banjo-Kazooie, like Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank kind of stuff. And there was always, you know, there's one that's the primary and one that's the sidekick.
Right.
And I think Clank was the robot, and that was the sidekick in that one. And God help me if I know which one was Jak and which was Daxter.
I think Daxter was the sidekick.
Yep. But I felt like there was a very equal partnership in Banjo-Kazooie, despite the bear doing all the heavy lifting.
Right, yeah, you had Bear to do all of the heavy lifting, as you said, and then Kazooie to, you know, help you be nimble and quick and jump over that candlestick. But no, like, he was definitely, I think, more of a side character because, you know, you wanted to play as Bear. But I thought he was a great use because in a lot of the earlier games, your side character, sidekick, it was more of like an escort mission, and they weren't always helpful. They were more of a hindrance. So I don't know. I just found this a good start.
I agree. I'm gonna throw out my favorite early sidekick, and I think, at least in my mind, the most iconic sidekick that I can think of, which is Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Tails, Miles, Prower.
I loved playing as Tails because, let's be honest, Sonic too fast. You gotta go fast, but he's too fast, alright? You run into stuff, you get hurt, you lose coins. And Tails can fly. Sonic can't get to those areas.
No.
If I can spin my Tails and get up to all those areas, right, and get all those coins, boy, Sonic, I got a leg up on you, boy.
And then also, like, he opened up an opportunity for people to play a 2-player game.
Which was so cool back then, too. I mean, especially, you know, you don't see, or at least you didn't see, a lot of 2-player platforming. Mm-hmm. I think that opened up a little bit more with Mario games as it got further on, especially where we are now with, like, Super Mario Brothers Wii was, like, the biggest example of 4-player chaos all on one screen. But you just didn't really see Sonic and Tails on the same screen before. Or, of course, I have to mention, with Tails, you get to Knuckles, and you could get Sonic and Knuckles as well. And, I mean, who doesn't love Knuckles? Knuckles was just super cool. He could climb the walls. He could do the little glidey thing. He was more of like an anti-hero turned sidekick kind of thing, though.
He was like the emo archetype, you know. I'm going to listen to some Bright Eyes and cry.
There's a lot of that. Whereas Shadow is like goth Sonic, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Goth nihilist punk Sonic. But no, Tails to me is absolutely like the epitome of the sidekick.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly. I think there was a trend going around for a while where people were realizing that Tails, his name was Tails Miles per hour, and their minds were blown. So
I thought Tails was the nickname, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's Miles Tail, but they'll say Tails Miles per hour. But
okay.
Yeah, but Miles per hour.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Tails.
But, you know.
Miles per hour.
Exactly.
What was I gonna? Shoot, lost it. Never mind.
Sorry.
Oh, there's actually a game. I don't know if you ever played this or if you guys are aware of this. I think it was on the Game Gear. Tails got his own game.
What?
It was kind of weird. I think I only knew like one person at my daycare at the time that had it. But he got like bombs and would explore caves, and
Ooh.
you like would blow up spaces of rock and go through stuff. It was a very different game. He didn't even like walk or function the same way he did in like a Sonic game. It was very strange,
Is he, like,
but also very
spelunking?
interesting. I want to say kind of. I also want to say I never made it that far in that game, and that might have just been one level at the very beginning. But I just remember Tails running around with bombs, bombing things.
Interesting.
I think you're looking at a really old game there from like mid 90s or so, right?
Game Gear, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have an interesting one too. So I thought of characters. I was like, oh, you know, a sidekick, a good sidekick is one that, you know, challenges the, you know, main protagonist. And then I was like, no, my favorite kind of sidekicks are the ones that like are completely dependent on you. And I thought of specifically Yoshi's Island, where you have Baby Mario.
Yeah.
And I love that game. Like I haven't
Me
played that game in a
too.
long time. But the idea of if you get hit, then Baby Mario flies up in a you know, a little bubble, and he's just starting to cry. He's like, ah, and you have to get him back in time, or you lose. You know, and like that was really cool. Such an interesting dynamic, and that was from I think 95 or 96, right around there. So like,
Yeah.
I remember being really
right.
young, and I'm like, I gotta save Baby Mario, and like the premise of that game, the fact that you know you find Baby Mario and you're trying to get him back to Baby Luigi or Luigi as Yoshi. There we go, combining names.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah, that was really cool, and I wanted to throw him out there because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I want my sidekick to be able to do all these cool actions and stuff. But I like the idea of, you know, someone that's depending entirely on you performing the actions and kind of giving you an extra challenge in a typical, you know, Mario-like platformer game.
Yeah.
And then Mario repaid Yoshi for all of his saving him in a bubble by ditching him while jumping off a cliff so that he could jump an extra meter in the air.
Well, you know, yes, that's
I always wondered in that game, and it's been a while since I've played it, but was the bubble actually supposed to be like a snot bubble from Mario crying so much?
it looked like
I always
it.
assumed that.
Definitely looked like it, but I remember him being in a bubble. Like,
Yeah.
that's what
No,
I do
it was
remember.
definitely a bubble for sure.
And the other thing too is the game, I'm fairly certain, never actually tells you that it's Baby Mario.
Right.
You just find a baby that's in a red cap or whatever and a diaper, and you assume it's Mario, but I don't think they ever specifically say Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, or even Mario and Luigi in that game at all. I don't even think they show up on the front as adults. They just show up
No.
as babies.
Yeah.
That game did not do a lot of talking. That
No, it
game
did
did a lot of just kind of colorful expression and show don't tell kind of stuff.
And I
which
think
is great.
that game I think would still hold up today, like really well, just because of like the gameplay and everything. Like you don't even really have to remaster it or reboot it. You can just re-release it on the Switch, and
Absolutely
I think you would be
would
good to
do.
go.
Absolutely, it would do very well. still.
They made a sequel on DS, I think.
Oh, did they?
I think they did. I think they made Yoshi's Island 2.
That game
Or something like that.
that game also introduced, was it Poochie? Was that the canine
That sounds
companion
right.
that you would find?
Yeah, that sounds
He was
right.
fun.
I remember seeing him, and I don't remember what he did in that game.
I think it was just more of like one of those. He wasn't necessarily a power up. It was more like he would be treated as if you found a vehicle in a game. He would carry you different places. I think he might be able to dig. It's been such a long time.
You know, one of the fun things in Yoshi's Island was that it wasn't all just Yoshi. It was a bunch of
Yes.
different Yoshis
Yes.
Yeah.
of different colors.
Because you
Just-
landed on the island
Yeah.
of Yoshi.
Yep.
You didn't land at like in front of the Yoshi that everyone knows and loves.
Right. What about you, Pinto?
I don't know if this would be considered like the archetypal main character sidekick relationship, but I have to bring up The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2.
Yep.
It's technically supposed to be like an escort mission type game,
Yep.
but Ellie is not helpless.
No.
You know, she saves your butt multiple times throughout the game. And then, of course, there's a section where you play as her, also the DLC where you get to play as her. And then, of course, in The Last of Us 2, you get to play as her and have some different companions, I guess I'll say, in Dina and Tommy and Jesse. And
Lev.
yeah.
Lev, yeah.
Well, not as Ellie, but yes,
Not
you
as
are
Ellie.
correct. But yeah, I just think, like, there are so many games that you play where your sidekick is garbage.
Can we talk about Natalia and GoldenEye?
Yeah, can we talk about Ashley and Resident Evil 4? Yeah, there are so many games you play where your sidekick is just ineffectual and you hate them and you wish they would go away. So,
Yeah.
I really like a game where your sidekick, like, holds their own and they're their own person. It's not just someone who's fawning over your main character or some sort of static character that you're just like, well, you exist. And
You're
that's
here.
it. You're here. Cool. My experience would be no different if you didn't exist at all.
Ooh. That's rude.
Well, it is rude, but that's the point. They're like, I don't care.
I'm not a super big fan of where, like, you start playing as the sidekick. Like, I loved The Last of Us and the story was great, but, like, the idea of playing as a sidekick is not it's fine. I don't mind it, but it's not as appealing to me as a sidekick who has their own character and their own personality, and they add something. So the other game that I thought of that's a lot of fun is a game called Valiant Hearts.
Oh my god.
I've never played it,
heard
but
that.
I know it.
To tell the short story, is basically a World War I story of multiple people, and there's a relationship in there, and there's a father who fights for the French army, and I don't want to ruin anything, but one of the sidekick characters is a dog, and like you tell the dog kind of what to do, and like it's that game's a lot of fun because like the character, I mean, it's a dog. It doesn't say anything or anything, but you have an emotional connection to this dog that you have throughout the game. So I really like games where, again, the character certainly can challenge in some ways, but just has their own personality, their own like tricks and stuff. So Tales, another example of like they have their own unique tricks that makes them kind of cool.
I think just to kind of pivot off that, a good side character that's quote unquote useless in terms of like gameplay, but does important things throughout the game is Otacon in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, yeah.
Even beginning in the first one, he kind of uses the stealth camouflage to sneak around and open up doors for you and start feeding you intelligence. And then as they progress the game series, he became more and more of kind of the techie intelligence official kind of guy that would tell you what to do, where to go, and help you hack things. So
Another one on the spectrum of being not so helpful would be Claptrap from the Borderlands games, specifically Borderlands 2. Claptrap is this, I don't know. Have you guys played Borderlands at all?
I played a couple hours into the first level on the moon of Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
Okay.
I played 2 hours of Borderlands 3, I believe it was.
Okay.
I didn't really like it. It wasn't that
That's
good.
okay. But he's the small little robot that wheels around on a single wheel, and he has a smart mouth, and he does more to get you in trouble than actually really help you. A lot of, the different maps and worlds that you encounter, it involves you having to save his hide because he can't help himself. But he's fun. Like, he adds, comedy to the game just with his quick wit and just being a general, I'm sorry, but he'll benefit you in some ways. Like, he'll have a secret stash with weapons to help you along your way in certain areas. But yeah, same thing. Like, you don't really play as him. He doesn't do a ton in the game other than help to get you in trouble, and you save him.
I feel like that's kind of a stereotype, but not necessarily a bad stereotype of sidekicks in some games. It's kind of like the hapless loudmouth.
Like, what's his face from... Oh, I lost the game.
Ellie
Infamous.
began as, right? Sorry, I was giving you an out, but that's what Ellie began as. She began as a loudmouth.
Yeah.
she kind of finds her own throughout the game, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
She developed past the hapless kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. But to begin with, she was totally relying on Joel.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Even if she was trying to say she was like feisty, she would have been taken down.
She
so
couldn't
easily by herself.
swim.
Yep. Couldn't do so much. But I'm sorry. What game, Megan? Were you saying?
Oh, I was just thinking about Infamous, the like main character's friend is
Zeke.
kind of that same. Yeah, Zeke fits that same kind of mold.
Shut up and let me save the city, Dad. I was thinking kind of like the Mario example, right? So like we talked about Yoshi, and I think Luigi is something that it's easy to say, but whenever you play as Luigi, he's basically just the same as Mario. He's not
Yeah.
really a sidekick, but if you think about like Toad, Toad is totally the loudmouth hapless sidekick in a lot of Mario experiences where he will just mouth off to like Bowser or something like that. Be like, oh yeah, Mario's gonna come get ya!
And that's exactly how he would sound.
Apologize to all of our viewers whose eardrums were just blown out.
Take that.
Yeah, gonna have to invest in an equalizer.
I apologize for nothing.
No regrets.
No regrets. I feel like there were a lot of like platformer sidekicks in that sort of vein with like Mario and like even in like Super Mario RPG, like you had the Mallows and the Genos,
Yeah.
so I guess you would really kind of call sidekicks, and we've talked a ton about them in previous episodes.
Would we?
And even in my favorite series to reference, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, everyone that's not Tony Hawk is a sidekick. Let's be honest.
It's his game.
Same way. I mean, you play as them, to like their own storylines or their own careers or whatever it was called. I forget. It's been a long time.
I mean, that's kind of true, but it's also kind of unfair because then, like, in every
It's not true.
RPG you play, it's like, well, you got your main character and everyone else is a sidekick. And
Exactly.
it's like, yeah, I guess, but they
Yeah.
all have, like, important story contributions and story beats, and sometimes I like them more than the main character, and I like their story more than the main character.
How about this, Pinto? Because you've played it and you are, I think, restarting it. Like your party in Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Like the story's about Noctis, but you have Prompto, Gladio, and I'm drawing a blank with glasses.
Science Man! Ignis.
There.
Ignis,
But like,
the cook, the picture man, and tough guy.
but like Prompto, like I think he's one of my favorite characters out of that game. Like he didn't come from a royal family. He met Noctis, I think, when they were in high school, and they've been best friends ever since. And then there's that nice little secret toward the end of it.
Yeah. And I am looking forward to, like, playing the DLCs, so I'll be able to, like, learn about the characters more, which,
Yeah.
let's be honest, that should have been in the main game square, but,
I agree.
whatever.
Is Prompto's secret that the selfies he takes never go on Instagram and they just stay in his personal collection forever?
How did you know? They stay in a cardboard box under his bed.
And that cardboard box just says memories.
And he's just tracing a heart over pictures of Noctis.
I was going to say, so for me, like I don't mind a storyline for a sidekick, but it almost has to come out of the story, like the initial storyline itself. So again,
Yeah.
I'm going to use Last of Us. I know we all have done that. If you started that
Never played it.
game, well, maybe some of our viewers haven't. Most people have, or at least know the story. If you took Ellie and made Ellie the main character from the beginning, like you did the Left Behind bite, and like you followed it, it would not have had, to me, the same impact as having Joel and like kind of his story, and then in a part 2 having Ellie's story. So
Right.
I find that sidekick stories are valuable information, but they're not essential to the they're not the way that the world gets built. Their world kind of comes out of the initial story.
Just thinking about that game, I really kind of think of the two of them as kind of co-main characters. And I think a decent number of RPGs, like you guys were just saying, feature a lot of characters with detailed enough stories that you wouldn't really consider those characters sidekicks. And I think there's been more of a trend lately, and it's a good trend to have games where all of the characters have more developed stories, and they're more than just your chipper chum that's along for the ride to take care of business with you. Which is totally what like Tails and Sonic the Hedgehog is. Like,
Right.
Sonic is there for the chili dog and the Chaos Emeralds, and Tails is just there to say, "You go, buddy." I don't know. So I mean, that's why like I'm scratching my head a little bit at the more modern titles, and I think the one I can really think of, and I haven't really played this game, but the latest God of War game, where son of Kratos, aka Boy, yep, is I think more along for the ride than anything else.
Yeah, because he does a lot to help you on your journey. Like, he gets into things that you can't. So,
Which is great.
yeah.
Back in like some of the older like JRPGs like Wild Arms, I think about Jack, who was the treasure hunter character there. And, that's another game that had co-main characters, right? There's 3 main characters. You might play them separately individually, but when you're playing as Jack, he has this little mouse that's his companion, and it talks. So, like, they talk to each other, but he uses that mouse to open up traps and treasure chests and stuff like that for him while he's going in search of, the big score. And I thought that was, really cool. I kind of remember that stereotype more or less from series back in the 90s, and Wild Arms is definitely a 90s game.
I'm thinking about right now, and I know you've said you've played it, Tom, BioShock Infinite, with Elizabeth as, like, yes, you're escorting her around the world and helping her, but, like, she finds ammo for you, she unlocks doors, she opens the rifts, which are, like, super helpful to help you get around. And it really saves your hide, and that's an instance where, the person that you're trying to save is also benefiting you rather than making it a painful, long, grueling journey.
I think in that game too, and I don't know if I would call them a sidekick as much as like a side character.
Yeah, there's more to her.
Well, not just her, but like those 2 people that show up flipping the coins and counting like the number of heads and tails. I forget what their names are, but they're basically the scientists that are monitoring the realities. They were very interesting and kind of featured along the way. Maybe we could do a whole thing about just the quirky, I don't know, extra characters in games.
Yeah.
Too, but they kind of come to mind. It's interesting to me that some of the most common sidekicks in media, like, I'm just going to throw it out there, Robin from, like, Batman, doesn't really make that much of an appearance in video games, because there's a ton of Batman games out there, and Robin's, like, all but forgotten about. Which is fair. No one likes Robin. I can just imagine there's one person out there going, I like Robin. They're wrong. They don't like Robin.
And that person also watches Teen Titans.
I like Teen Titans.
Well, then you like Robin.
But no one likes Robin and Teen Titans either.
I never really watched it. I would like to say that I guess this is kind of a different situation since the characters are already well established, but just having played through South Park, The Stick of Truth, my favorite sidekick, and probably everyone's, is Butters.
Oh.
I love
Stinky
Butters.
Moo Minky.
Like, he's the first friend you make in the town, and he's the only character that's genuinely not a jerk. It's like, all the other characters are jerks at times.
Yeah.
I don't actually want Cartman on my team, because I hate Cartman. He's a jerk. He's funny, but he's a jerk. I just find myself using Butters the most, because he's a paladin, and paladins are awesome. He's a nice character. There's one point where you get, like, separated from everyone, and the first person to show up is Butters. And what does he say? I'm here for you, buddy. And I'm just like, aw, no one else showed up. It's Butters. Everyone knows it's Butters.
That's me. Oh, Butters is adorable. He was definitely my favorite in that game. I did love Jimmy, though, too. Jimmy the Bard.
Yes. But I'm definitely looking forward to playing the second game. Because I have not done that yet.
It's a lot longer. The story's still very good, but it's a lot longer, and it kind of just fell off for me at one point. I stopped playing it, but the mechanics are great. It's like a great tactical RPG again, so kudos to Ubisoft for that. I'm trying to think of the other side characters you could get in that game. Who else did you get, Pinto? Like Kyle and
it's Butters,
Cartman?
Jimmy, Stan, Kenny, Kyle and Cartman.
And Kenny's the princess, right?
Yeah, Princess Kenny.
I don't remember ever using Princess Kenny in that game.
No.
Princess Kenny wasn't great. I didn't think.
Oh, that's a shame.
I find myself using Butters and Kyle the most.
That game was totally like Super Mario RPG, just reinvented as a South Park game.
Like all the little secrets in it.
So
The
good.
Pokemon.
You know, I mean, I think that's a good one for sidekicks too. I mean, you could kind of call any Pokemon a sidekick.
Yeah.
But really, it was all about Pikachu as the OG sidekick.
Yeah. Or the original 3.
Yep. Any of your starters?
Yeah.
I will always say, and like, I'm assuming most of our, listener base are gamers. If not, what are you doing here? Thank you.
Stay here.
Thank you for learning.
If you want to really care about your Pokemon, play a Nuzlocke run.
Oh, no.
No.
Don't do it.
I refuse.
I'm sorry. You said play a
A Nuzlocke run?
Yeah.
It's a challenge run where
My
like
heart.
you only get a limited number of Pokemon. If your Pokemon get knocked out, you have to release them. Like they're no longer part of your team. It's tough. I've
treat it like they died, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times. I got to the Elite Four in one of them and lost, and I don't have the motivation to try it again for like a couple years probably. I did it in Fire Red personally, but
Well, as a man who has watched every English season of Pokemon, and that is actually a true story. I can tell you that Pikachu, when he was in the Pokemon movie, and Ash was stoned,
God.
and he started saying
I
Pika-Pee, and
remember
he's
that.
Oh,
shaking
no.
Ash, and then
and
the tears.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Why? Why must we bring
It's
up these
building up right now.
memories that I tried to forget?
Well,
I saw that movie purely to get a holographic Mewtwo card, all right? Mew or whatever it was.
I did too.
I have the soundtrack to that movie.
Oh,
It was a good
man.
soundtrack.
It features such artists as M2M, NSYNC, Vitamin C.
Vitamin C, what a band.
That the movie makes me think of, I was reading an article recently and it was about Digimon and how they finally like talked about what happens to Digimon, and like as their, I guess, what would you call them, their handlers, as they get older, they start to forget about their Digimon, and then the Digimon just cease to exist. They don't go to like another plane. It's just like they're gone. That's it. They're done.
Well, just like what happens when humans die.
Digimon is just
Yeah.
a nihilist version of Pokemon, let's be honest.
Yeah, it really is.
Remember when Digimon
and then
came
Monster Rancher is the absurdest
Oh,
version.
God.
I loved Monster Rancher.
Me too.
Was it Mochi? What was the pink?
Yep.
Yeah, Mochi.
Mochi and Suezo was the giant yellow eyeball
Yes.
of Nightmare Fuel.
I hope
I
that,
named my first cat after Tiger of the Wind. His name was Tiger.
it'd be really
My
cool
parents
if
had no idea.
Nintendo release. I know they're releasing Pokemon Snap.
Yes.
At some point next year. I really hope they consider doing a Pokemon Stadium based off Pokemon Sword and Shield,
That would be cool.
because I remember when Stadium was coming out and how like incredible the idea of you just plugging in your Game Boy game into the back of the thing, and then you're able to have all your Pokemon and you could actually see them on a big screen in a stadium fighting. That was really cool. I was super excited when that game came out as a little kid.
I wonder if the Switch has just defeated that though, because now if you want it on the big screen, you just
I mean,
dock
I guess
your Switch.
that's true. But maybe they could find a way to make it more. I don't know, like add features that they wouldn't put in a normal game in like a Sword and Shield. I don't know exactly.
like the amazing mini games from Pokemon Stadium where you had to eat the sushi and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, stuff like that, or maybe they do it where like you could enter like tournaments throughout that like I don't think Sword and Shield really have. They have like exhibition matches you can do against other people, but maybe there's like tournaments or something, or a season where you're playing in like a like a sports season like you would in like Madden or something like that. I don't know. I feel like those would kind of make features that they wouldn't put in a normal game, but then you could like any Nintendo Switch online, you'd have all your Pokemon you could have like download to that game wherever you are and play. I don't know. It'd be cool. It's going to happen now since I talked about it, just so you know.
Right, it'll be out there.
Yep. We summon things.
So to add more out into the universe, I would really just like a Pokemon party, like Mario Party, just a bunch of Pokemon-themed mini-games a la Pokemon Stadium.
I have at least some great news for you.
Oh, boy.
There's a title out there called Pokemon Rumble that I don't know if you've ever played.
I've heard of it.
It was a Wii game, and you just would get different Pokemon as you went, but the idea was they each had like 2 attacks. It was free roam through a stage, and you would use the attacks to beat up other Pokemon. Types still mattered, and you would knock them out, and then sometimes they would fall over like a little toy, and you would get them, and you could switch your Pokemon as you went.
Neat.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite like $5 Wii games, and it's surprisingly deep. We're amazingly on topic right now. I just want to say we're falling down the Pokemon rabbit hole.
On that note, does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
Pikachu's the best.
Yeah.
Charmander was the best.
No,
Thank you very much.
In all seriousness, outside of the TV show, my favorite was Bulbasaur.
Oh, in the TV show, mine was Squirtle.
Squirtle was
Squirtle
awesome
Squad?
in the TV show.
Yeah,
the
Squirtle
sunglasses.
Squad.
Oh, man. Okay, sorry. We're on tangents again. Go ahead, Megan.
No worry at all. Yeah, so I think that about covers it for this episode. Thank you, gentlemen, as always, for discussing my topics with me, and thank you, listeners. If you can do us a favor and follow us on our social channels, we are at JoyPad Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What is it? JoyPad. JoyPad. Did I give our social channels the wrong name? JoyPad Pod. Anyway, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then what are we on YouTube?
JoyPad.
Just JoyPad. And our email address, Tom, because I never remember it.
JoyPadPod@gmail.com.
Thank you for carrying me throughout this entire outro. Anyway, like those things, follow us on things, send us an email if there's something that you want us to talk about, or just shoot us a message on any of those channels. If you can leave us a review, that would be great. It doesn't have to be shining. If there's something you'd like us to change, that's cool too. Just be constructive. Subscribe. That's important on your favorite podcatcher. And yeah, I think that about covers it. Anything else from you guys? No? Okay. Tom?
If you'd like us to summon something,
Ooh,
send
yes.
us an email.
What
We're
would
very
you-
good at that.
I don't know if it works like that, though.
I just thought about a Saga Frontier reboot, and it happened. They're doing it. I didn't even talk about it on the show.
Tom, it has to be organic. Like, we can't just be like, let's talk about this thing that's going to happen. It has to come up naturally.
That's true. That's true.
Recommend something to us. We'll see it. We'll forget about it, and then
We'll take credit for your idea later and be like,
Right.
why hasn't that happened?
you're welcome.
It's all about that cosmic miasma.
But yeah, that's it for me. Tom, do you want to walk us out?
Do you want me to tell everyone to stay joyful?
Yeah, you did it.
Goodbye!
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.